Let me ask you about politics as it relates to the Comptroller's office and then as it relates to the fall elections. One concern that is often raised about the Comptroller position is, I've said this here with other candidates a couple of times, it's a little bit like a mob accountant, where the person who keeps the books is doing it essentially at the direction and orders and at the pleasure of the people in the organization above him. Now, as the Comptroller, you work for the people of the state of Texas.
Correct.
You wouldn't work for, should they be elected, necessarily Greg Abbott or Dan Patrick.
Correct.
You work for us.
Correct.
At the same time, there were always downward political pressures for the Comptroller to cook the books. Specifically, your opponent, who shall not be named, recently,
is that number 1, 2, or 3?
Number 1.
Okay.
In a fundraising email, said the Comptroller's office is a place for a financial expert. He has an accounting background, touts that a lot. Not a politician who will cook the books to serve their own ambitions. He might have extended that to say, or to serve the ambitions of the people alongside whom he serves. So how do you say no to the people above you? How do you keep politics out of the administration of that office?
The numbers are the numbers, and you don't try to adjust the numbers.
Every Comptroller has said that for all time, and yet that hasn't been the case.
Well, then you haven't seen Glenn Hegar yet, have you?
So your commitment to everybody here and elsewhere is no politics in the office. I'm going to run this office completely independent of any considerations above me or any political considerations.
It's no different than in business. The fact is in my opinion, or in the individual household, the numbers that you have speak for themselves. And if this is the amount of money and the revenue that we have coming in the state of Texas, this is it.
So going into an election year when somebody says we want to be able to tout the health of the Texas economy, or going into a presidential election year, we want to be able to show that for the last X number of years the state of Texas has been healthy economically. We don't want a crappy revenue estimate, because that's going to cast a bad light on what's come before.
The problem is, if you kick the can to a bad economy, it's just going to make it worse. Because people are making real decisions for their families, for their businesses. It's not just state government. It goes down to the people that are doing the hard work and paying the taxes. It has to be independent of all those considerations. And at least in the legislative process, as I've been in the legislature or whether it's in business, I've always been consistent that the numbers are the numbers, or whatever the facts are the facts. And I'm not going to readjust things just because somebody higher up wants it to.